Okay, good afternoon, leaders. Let me just confirm if you can clearly hear me. Eunice, how are you?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Eunice. Evelyn? Evelyn, please confirm if you can hear me well. Okay, thank you, Evelyn. Peter? Peter
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Evelyn. Peter Mogi?
Yes, I can hear you.
Asante sana. So I think we have a quorum and we're good to go. We just want to maximize the opportunity that we have. So we'll, as usual, we'll do the recording for the session. And then we'll be able to share those who might join a little bit late so that they can follow through the session. Otherwise, I trust you've been well and we are catching up quite well. I trust you have also had time to maybe just relook at what we did last time, or even just to listen through, because we are sharing the YouTube link so that if we get time, you are able to go through, as well as the book review. So we'll discuss about that as we continue. But otherwise, for now, I will request Eunice to open with a word of prayer.
Okay.
So Eunice, you can unmute and open with a word of prayer.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Eunice.
Okay, let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you this afternoon. We thank you for your care, for your protection. One of us, we thank you for preserving our lives this far. We say you are Ebenezer in our lives. Lord, we commit this thing we can do on our own. We invite you, Holy Spirit, be with us. Help our teacher as he take through us through the lesson so that he can be able to impact to us, oh God. And we pray for each one of us so that we can be receptive as we listen, as we interact, oh God. May we be able to learn and yes, oh God, we thank you. And we pray that as we begin, you begin with us. And as we end the class, you may end with us. These we humbly pray, trusting and believing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Eunice. So we'll get going. We'll interact as we move on for the interest of time. So let's just follow through. There are a few sessions that we'll have to help us interact. At some point, we'll also get into small groups just to be able to share our experiences, especially on the book review. So I trust probably whatever you submitted, you have an opportunity to look at it, especially when we get into the group sessions. Otherwise, let's move on. Today, we are going to handle 2 sessions, but before that, I want to share something. And I'll share a few photos of some of leaders that we might recognize. And I'll request that if you can recognize any of the leader, just let us know who the leader is. And maybe you can share just one thing. One word about the leader that will be displaying on the screen. Some of them are still leading, some of them have retired, some of them have passed on. So what one word comes to your mind when you see any of the leader that I'll be posting on the screen? And I'll start with this one. You can see the one on the screen. So one word that comes to your mind when you see this leader, either you can text or you can just unmute and share. One word that comes to your mind when you see the photo of this leader. Or which photo can you see on your screen? Just to confirm that you're able to clearly see my screen. Someone can help us just to which photo can you be able to see? Moi Kibaki, good. So one word that comes to mind when we see this photo. Just one word. Either it might be related to leadership or development, whatever comes to mind. Okay, so you can share on the chat or just unmute. So someone says president. President. That's Joyce. I'll pick one more because we have quite a number of photos. So I'll want just to select a few. So what else comes to mind when you see this photo? The third president of Kenya. So those two are referring to him as president. Last one, pick the last one. Third president of Kenya. Yeah, that is Eunice. And then president of Kenya, Joyce. One more word, one more. Okay, economist. That's Evelyn. Okay, so let me move on to the next photo. The next person you can see on the screen, I believe probably all of us can recognize this person. So one word that comes to mind when we see this leader. Those who can unmute and just mention, well and good. Those who can type, that's still okay. Okay, he had a strong wife called Lucy. Wow, that was not in my mind. And this is the beauty of interaction. Thank you, Eunice.
Nelson Mandela, servant leader.
Mercy, thank you. Nelson Mandela, servant leader. Okay, let me pick two more. Let me pick two more, either through the chat or just unmute and mention. Okay. Let's see. Two more comments and then we move on to the next person. Or just one more comment. So servant leader, and he had a strong wife called Lucy. So Evelyn, something to say? Or Peter, I can see you have unmuted. Okay, so I believe this Nelson Mandela is known for quite a lot. So I'm sure maybe there is one more thing we can say about him. So let me just pick one more. It's quite a lot that he did. Okay, so let me move on to the next one. Because of time. So the third picture. First, we can start by who is this person? Who can recognize this person? I think as leaders, this is also part of our historical knowledge. And I think it's just good to jog our mind as we look at this. So who can remember, who can recognize this leader? Who can recognize this leader? Maybe this one should come with a present. Anybody who can recognize this leader? Tesla. Joyce says Tesla. Thank you, Joyce, for the attempt. Anybody else who can recognize this leader? Good. Thank you, Evelyn. You have unlocked is Hitler. What comes to mind? And I think I'll just ask Evelyn to help us so that we can move forward. So what comes to mind when you, every time you this leader is mentioned, Hitler? Evelyn, if you can help us, just probably unmute and comment or just share on the chat. Hitler, what comes to mind every time this leader is mentioned? There are a lot that he did, just one. Evelyn, if you're able to mention something, you can mention. You can. You can unmute and mention. It didn't come out clear. Okay, I trust you can hear me clearly. Eunice, are you able to hear me clearly? Okay, thank you. Eunice says a dictator, and I think that is true of Hitler. Okay, let me move on to the next one. The next one. The next photo, I think this one is known quite well. So what comes to mind when we see this leader? What comes to mind when we see this leader? Okay, so I think for Hitler, still, Eunice says he killed so many people, actually 6 million Jewish plus many more. And also Leah Kelly, Hitler killed the Jews, 6 million. So that is clear. It's not a positive sign. We actually don't associate with him with something positive. So we have the next one. The next one, the lady. The lady. Transformed through love. Thank you, Mercy. We are talking about Mother Teresa. She transformed many through love. Just one more about Mother Teresa. Just one more comment. Merciful, merciful. Thank you so much, Mercy and Eunice. The next photo. The next photo. We can recognize the next photo. I think again for Mother Teresa, humility. She's known for her humility. That is Evelyn. So thank you. Let's move to the next photo. The fifth photo. What do we remember about this leader? Or what do you remember about this leader? I'll just pick two. What do you remember about this leader? Okay, so let me see, just two comments. Maziwa ya Nyayo, very true. Maziwa ya Nyayo, that's our president, former president, the late President Moi. Maziwa ya Nyayo, One more thing. one more thing about nihilism philosophy. Again, wow, corruption. Okay. So there's a mix there. There's a mix of the positive and the negative. The sixth photo. The sixth photo. I trust we can recognize this leader. So what comes to mind, like the first impression of this leader? I'll pick two more, just two comments.
Selfish.
Selfish. And you're talking about who?
Robert Mugabe.
We're talking about Robert Mugabe. Yeah, clearly, I think that comes out very clear. He was selfish, especially in terms of leadership. One more comment about this leader, and then we move on to the next. One more comment. Let me see. Arrogant. So for Mugabe, I think the image that comes, even from a sample of us who are here, it really doesn't come out as a positive legacy. The other one, I think this one will be, it's quite clear. We can be able to remember this leader very well. So the lady, who is she and what?
Wangari Maathai.
Wangari Maathai. We remember
the
her
Green
for?
Belt movement.
Yeah, the Green Belt
movement.
True. Green Belt movement. There's another very unique point about her. Something very unique.
She won the Nobel Prize.
True. And also
the
she
Nobel
was
Peace Prize.
True, Evelyn. Very true. She was also determined, as Eunice says. So these are a mix of leaders who had different achievement, and there's something that we associate with these leaders. The last one, I want to take just a comment from, okay, for Wangari Maathai, environmentalist, that is Leah Kelly. Now, who is the last leader here? There's another last leader here. Who can recognize this leader? And what do we remember the leader for? This one I think will come with a prize again. Good, thank you, Eunice. This is me, or this is you as a leader. And what do we remember this leader about? Or what will we remember this leader about? That's the subject of this masterclass. Because all the leaders that we have looked at today, we associate them with something positive or something negative they did. We associate them with a particular style of leadership. And I think as we get into this masterclass, we want to make sure that this other image that now is not attributed to anybody, that should be me. I should put my picture there, and then probably I should pause and ask myself, if another class was looking at the pictures and my picture is among the pictures that will be discussed, what will be the story behind that picture? And that is the conversation that we are looking at in this masterclass, just to really ask ourselves such kind of questions, and also probably align ourselves so that we are able to write our story when we have the opportunity to do so. Some of the leaders that we have looked at, they're already gone, so they have no opportunity to either correct whatever they did or even improve whatever they did. It's gone. But for us, God has given us the opportunity, so we have a chance to be able to write our story. So as we were starting, I mentioned that there is this book, The Greatest Story Ever Told, and I will share this in Microsoft Word so that you can start scribbling some of the things that we should be able to, or some of the things that you really feel should be in that picture, that especially the one thing. Sometimes we are remembered for that one thing. You look at Wangari Maathai, it was not so many things that she did, but she picked one particular thing and she followed that path. She was determined, and we are able to associate her with whatever she was able to do. So the one thing, what is that one thing that I should be able, people should remember me for, so that I start aligning my effort towards that particular thing. So I'll post this so that we're able to look at it. Now, from the last class, we looked at quite a lot from the last class, and I'll just want to probably just lump sum everything that we looked at from the last class. And we were trying to define leadership, specifically with the 6 I's and the 1 T. And basically we can say leadership comes from a product of influence, or its part leadership is influence. Basically, that is what we can say. And that influence comes from service. And the service comes from offering our service through intelligence, through integrity, through integration, with inspiration, and also impact and transformation. So this is what feeds into the service. So the service is offered with intelligence. It means you have knowledge, you have skills. It's offered through integrity, which means we are conscious of the welfare of humanity. We are conscious of the character. We are conscious about being humble, among many other aspects that comes with integrity. And also integration. We are able to get to where people are and be able to offer the service to the people. Again, we are saying this is what inspires people. This is what brings impact, and this is what brings transformation. And through that service, then we are able to influence people, and that is how we are called leaders. So leaders do not seek followers. Leaders are out there to be able to do something. And when they do whatever they do, they're able to do it in such a way that they're able to influence people. So true leaders will never look for people, but true leaders, they are out to make a change, and they are out to be able to serve. And it's that service that makes them the leader, or make them a leader. They attract people to be able to follow them. Yeah, so this is just what we did last time, just to recap. And today we're going to focus on 2 lessons. We'll focus on lesson 3. So if you have your manual, you can have your manual ready, lesson 3. And we'll also have a short session, probably like 10 minutes, just to get into some groups and discuss, and then come back and handle lesson 4 as we conclude. So lesson 3, leadership development models. How do we package our growth? How do we structure our growth as leaders? Because leaders are perpetual learners. And we say the moment a leader stops growing, then we stop leading. So growth is very critical, and growth has to be a very key element to our leadership development and our leadership tenure. So it's very important just to know a few models that we can be able to look at and also adapt so that we're able to structure our leadership. So we look at 2 leadership models. One is the Iceberg Model, and then we look at the 80-20 leadership development model, and we'll package this using the success triangle. But critically, the most important are the 2, the number 1 and the number 2. As part of the introduction, we are saying this, that without a commitment to a planned personal growth, then any growth that occurs is circumstantial rather than intentional. And personal growth is too crucial to be left to circumstance. We can grow through the influence of circumstance, and also we can grow through intentional planning for our growth. So these are the two approaches to personal growth. But I think if we are to we are to be more impactful and more efficient and more effective, then personal growth then needs to be more intentional rather than circumstantial. And basically in this session, we are saying that as leaders, it's very important that we plan our personal growth and judicially execute the plan. So it's one way to plan, and then it's the other way to be able to now run through with the plan that we have at hand. And every leader that is out there, or every person that is successful, that success is linked to this very simple concept, that they were very intentional and they were able to have a plan and execute the plan very judicially. Okay, so as we plan our growth, we are looking at this particular approach on how we manage our growth. And basically we are saying the leadership development follows this sort of phases where we look at leading self. So how do I grow in terms of leading myself? And then how do I take care of my growth in terms of leading people? And thirdly, we ask ourselves, how do I grow in terms of leading the organization? So from the first one, leading people, what do we look at here? The focus here, we take care in terms of, we develop ourselves or developing personal mastery and authentic leadership. So this is the most important part because it's the foundation of all the other growth phases. So you develop mastery, and this is what we taking care of in level 1, personal awareness. So personal mastery and authentic leadership. So self-awareness, very important. The 360 feedback process, where you're able to get feedback from your let me say, superior. You're able to take feedback from the people, your peers on the lateral, and you're also able to take feedback from the people that you are leading. The 360 feedback process. Leading self, we are looking at values, we're looking at purpose, we're looking at our core beliefs, and also connection and articulation of our personal vision. So I think that's critical. That's very, very important. So as I look at leading self, then I need to check on these particular aspects that we have just highlighted. Then we move on to leading people. So at leading people, the most important aspects that we need to take into consideration is developing relationship mastery. So the first one was personal mastery. Here we are looking at relationship mastery and interpersonal excellence. So in particular, issues to do with the collaboration and partnership skills. This is where communication, influence, negotiations fall. And then we take care of emotional intelligence, managing people and developing their potential, and also feedback and dialogue. So this is leading people. These are very, very important skills, and we'll be handling some of these skills or some of these areas as we'll be moving on with the program. Then the third phase, leading the organization. So what is the most important thing here? Developing a high performance culture. We now start focusing on visioning and strategy, leading change, fostering sustainable performance, and then building a culture of commitment and trust, and also systems thinking, what we call strategic thinking. So at every phase, there are particular skills that are very important. So the Iceberg model and the 80-20 model, they'll be able to help us in terms of how do we group these skills and how do we prioritize the skills as we plan the growth. So Iceberg model is just a mirror to the iceberg, and it helps us to look at competency development in leadership from the two categories that we'll discuss. Some of them are observable behaviors or practices that are at the peak, and then there are those other very important aspects that we need to take care of, which are below the iceberg or below the sea, and they take the bigger part of the importance in terms of personal development. So the underlying beliefs, the attitudes, the values, the philosophies, which are taken for granted at times. And these are the most important because they impact the observable behaviors at the top. So basically we are saying the iceberg leadership development models talks about a balanced growth. A balanced growth is where I take care of hard skills. Okay. So I trust you're able to follow me through, and I'm still clear to all of you. If you can hear me clearly, maybe you can give me a thumb up. Just indicate so that I'm able to know that we are following through. Sawa. Thank you, Sarah, for the confirmation. Thank you for Evelyn. Good. So we are saying that as a leader, I need to take care of these two areas in my personal growth. One is the hard skills. I need to be a master on a particular professional or a particular technical area. So the teachable, measurable abilities, that's the hard skill. And then the second part is the soft skills, the traits that make you a good leader. So these are the soft skills that are very important, like communication, listening, the emotional intelligence, social intelligence, integrity, shaping my attitude, my beliefs, my philosophies, all this. And they significantly impact on the hard skills. If a leader doesn't balance this is why we have so many cases of leaders who are very good in terms of professional skills or in terms of technical skills. But again, when they are in position of leadership, it becomes a big challenge because maybe in one way or another, the soft skills were not prioritized. And as you can see from the iceberg model, hard skills is 1/9, is a 1/9. So the soft skills takes the bigger part of our personal essence. So it takes almost like 90%, and the hard skills takes about 10%. So in this leadership masterclass, we are saying leadership it's a function that requires we take care of these areas, both the hard and the soft. We take care of the knowledge. This function requires that we grow in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, the will and the attitude to lead, and also the sacrifice to lead or the trade-off. And basically, if we look at this from a bigger category, we are saying we need to grow in our mindset, in our heart set, and in our skill set. So we'll break that a little bit as we move on. So I think the question then I should be asking myself as a leader, so how am I balancing this? As I undertake my evaluation, am I able to prioritize these particular areas? Have I been able to maintain a balance in these particular areas to be able to take care both in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the skills, in terms of the heart set, and also the skill set. Maybe we can mute, please. Okay. Let me just mute all. Okay, so this is critical. This is critical as we take care of our personal growth. So the iceberg model, just to break it further, the tip of the iceberg represents between 10 to 20%. And that 10 to 20% is the knowledge, is the skills, and the experience. So as I grow as a leader in my knowledge, skills, and experience, then I'm taking care of my 20%, which is good, but it might be limited in terms of being a peak performer or in terms of enhancing my influence as a leader. Then the 80%, the base, it represents the heart set and the mindset. The heart set and the mindset. That is the essence of a person. How I think as a leader, what motivates me as a leader, my attitude in terms of the people, in terms of role of a leader, the perceptions, the principles that guide me as a leader, the course, the traits. So these are intrinsic, they're intrinsic qualities, but very, very critical. So this is a very good representation of the iceberg leadership development model that I need to ask myself, am I able to grow in terms of all these particular areas? And as you can see, even the percentages, the 80% carries the more weight. But in real life practice, you will find it might not receive the attention that matches the weight that it requires. And this masterclass, actually we tend to focus more on the 80%. We're less on the 20% and more on the 80%, because we know the 20% has been taken care of in many other areas, in many other leadership development areas, because the knowledge and skills also, apart from being in your area of technical skills, there are also other skills and knowledge areas that cover leadership, especially probably when you're talking about styles of leadership, methods of leadership. But we really want to look at the heart set or the mindset, the values. We really want to look at probably the attitude, my attitude as a leader, my perception of this role of leadership. So when we combine this now with what we call the success triangle, basically success triangle says, if you are to be successful, then you need to grow in knowledge, you need to grow in skills, and you need to grow in attitude. That's the summary of the success triangle. So if I don't grow in any of this particular area, I will impact my success negatively. And if you bring the success triangle to the iceberg, then that tells you knowledge, skills, they take 20%, and then the attitude based on the success triangle, it takes about 80%, among other areas that fall under the 80%. So the difference between successful and unsuccessful leaders or people is majorly on attitude, how we think about our role, how we perceive the role, and what motivates us towards the role. So our attitude, it's how you think about yourself and also how we are able to think about others. So me as a leader, my perception, my thinking about myself, and also the people that I'm able to lead. And just look at the examples that the pictures that we looked at. Their attitude and their philosophies and their beliefs influenced how they led. For Hitler, he had his own philosophy that informed how he led and what influenced him to cause the damage that he caused. For someone like Wangari Maathai, she had her own philosophy that informed how she thought about leadership and how she influenced how she was able to lead. So this is important. And I think as we look at this, probably it might give us a different picture in terms of how we take care of the people we are leading, and also of importance, how we are able to take care of ourselves as leaders. Zig Ziglar, he said your attitude, not just your aptitude, will determine your altitude. Your attitude, not just your aptitude, will determine your altitude. I think that's very important when it comes to leadership development. So as I conclude on the Iceberg leadership development model, the success triangle, if you look at the skills, what are some of the key skills that are highlighted in success triangle? Maybe the interpersonal skills, communication, time management skills. When it comes to attitude, self-motivation, confidence, integrity, amongst others. And then knowledge, we're talking about theories, information, facts, and figures. So as we journey through, I will break this into more small portion just to be able to understand it more. So let's move on to the second leadership development model, which is the 80-20 leadership development model. And probably before I get here, I can take two comments from you. If we are to stop there, what will be your takeaway or your take home? Just one or two comments, and maybe to move faster, if you allow me, I can nominate two people to share their comments. And maybe I'll start with, let me start with Sarah. Sarah, maybe just one comment from what we have looked at. And then after Sarah, I'll move to Monica. Sarah, if you can hear me, you can unmute and just share just one comment from what we have looked at.
Thank you very much, Volume, for picking on me.
Yeah.
I think I found when you had told you.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sarah.
I think I've just that part of the iceberg about the 19, the 80. I'm still trying to look for myself, but I've not been able to catch up so well with you people.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I came late, so somehow I've not been able to catch up so well with this iceberg.
It is well. It's well, Sarah. I think as we continue, I'll try to recap as I move on, just to help you to catch up. Okay, thank you, Monica. I don't know if you're able to follow us through, and if you can be able to share a comment.
Okay, the part that I found is this part would say that attitude will make a leader. It's what, so my take home is I must have a very right attitude for me to lead very well as a leader.
Yeah, very true. Thank you, Monica. So the balancing is critical. The balancing is important. Basically, that is what we are saying, that I need to balance the 10% to 20%, which is the skills, knowledge, and experience, with the 80 to 90%, which is the skills, the personal essence, the attitude, the beliefs, the values, the motivation, and the cause. So, and also issues of communication, among other very important aspects that defines the whole leader. So the leader is defined by the whole iceberg, but now there are those two components which carry different weights. So let's move on to the leadership development model. This one is based on a principle referred to as Pareto Principle, which talks about that outcomes, or most of the outcomes, they roughly come out of 80% of consequences. Or in other words, we can say many outcomes, roughly 80% of consequences come from the 20% of the causes. So in other words, we are saying there are those particular causes that have more impact as we break this one down. So there are many examples that I will share on this just to help us understand this. So for our case here, we look at, again, it's still related to what we have discussed up there, that performance or leadership is defined by 80% attitude towards a job or a role, and then 20% skills, knowledge, and experience. So the outcome of a leader, or the effectiveness of a leader, the impact of a leader, 80% of it comes from the 80%, which is attributed to the attitudes towards my leadership role, and also the values towards my leadership role, and also the motivation towards the leadership role. So an individual performance is more linked to how they perceive and describe their job than what they know or what they can do. So what they can do, that can fit into the 20%, which is skills, knowledge, and experience. But now the performance is more closely linked to now the perception and the attitude towards the job. So attitude directly impacts performance and job satisfaction. The same way we are saying attitude impacts on performance of a leader and how I'm satisfied as a leader in my leadership role. So basically, this is from a book by Carl Van, and he talks about attitude, ability, and the 80-20 rule. The title of the book is The Making of Exceptional Performance. Yeah, so we look at this, and some of the other examples that I want to share is that leadership quality is 80% personal essence, what we have highlighted, like the mindset, the heart set, the attitude, the values, and then 20% the aptitude, and the aptitude basically is the skill set. So as an effective leader, I need to prioritize those areas that have the most impact. Those areas that have the most impact, or the most output. So I look at areas that are very critical, but they have the most impact in my leadership. So I look at probably the 20% efforts or inputs on development of skills, knowledge, attitude, or values that gives 80% effect. Basically, all of us, we have the little strength that we can categorize as the 80% that gives, we can categorize as the 20% that gives the 80% of the output. There are those strengths that you possess or that I possess as a leader, that if I focus on them, as much as they might be, because as you focus, you reduce the focus probably to the few 20%, which are the most impactful in your life. And I connect this from the story that I shared from those photos. Most of these leaders are remembered not for so many things, but for the few things that they did, but they did them well. Okay, so I think the question here is, what are my little few, the vital few that I need to put the most attention on? So the 20% effort on the vital few will be able to give the 80% results when it comes to the impact. So effective leadership, we need to balance the 20% efforts that yields 80% impacts, or we need to leverage on our strength to be able to maximize performance and satisfaction. So there are other applications of this 80-20 rule. Maybe I can just highlight a few from the slide here. So the 20% of your effort gives you 80% of your results. And that is how I'm able to know as a leader if I'm operating in my area of strength, because little effort will give me more results. But if I flip that, if I'm operating on the area of my weakness, then it means 80% of my effort will give me 20% of results. So the other real life experience, 20% of customers bring 80% of revenue. That's another application. 80% of work is completed by 20% of the team. 80% of complaints come from 20% of customers, then 20% of marketing efforts give 80% of results, and the rest. So there are many areas that this rule applies. Now, I've mentioned a lot about the attitude, and I think it's important just to be able to highlight something briefly about the attitude. This one is not in the manual, but since we'll be able to share this PowerPoint, you can be able to look at this. So attitude, what are we talking about? We're talking about a set of emotions, beliefs, and behaviors towards probably a particular person or a thing, or even towards ourselves, that often results from experience or upbringing, and powerfully influence our behavior. So attitude defines personality. In most cases, when you are defining a person, will in most cases define the person based on personality. Yeah, based on personality, because that personality influenced our leadership, or it influenced our relationship with other people. So an attitude can be a positive attitude, it can be a negative attitude, or it can be a neutral attitude. And just mention something briefly about the positive attitude. A positive attitude brings strength, energy, motivation, and initiative. And keeping a positive mindset and thinking about the greater good, no matter the circumstances. That is how a positive attitude behaves. It's more collaborative and complementary, and also very resilient. If you find a leader that is resilient, a leader that was able to keep the pace, a leader that was able to maintain him or herself despite the challenges, you will always find that those leaders were resilient. And that comes from a positive attitude. We are saying they are very confident, they are sincere and determined. Okay. So negative attitude, someone said a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. We look at the author of that quote. So negative attitude, we are saying, ignores the good things in life and only think about what and why things cannot work. So think about a leader who has such kind of a mindset, then you realize this will be a big challenge when it comes to issues of leadership. Then it's often competitive and comparative. But the other one we talked about being collaborative and complementary. So a negative attitude will be more of competitive and comparative. It's less resilient, so gives up very easily, driven by anger and also some element of frustration. So a neutral attitude, for a neutral attitude, we can say my attitude is based on how you treat me. So for these leaders, they have no doubt, neither any hope. We are here and there. Generally, they tend to ignore problems in life, feel disconnected, and quite often, they never feel the need to change themselves, as they can simply live with the way they are. This neutral, I'm just here, I'll treat you based on how I feel or on how you treat me. So think about that kind of a leader. Then there is the second attitude. And Scott Hamilton said, the only disability in life is a bad attitude. For second attitude, demonstrate a negative state of mind, very negative, destroys the image of every element that reflects in the mind, much more aggressive, negative attitude, and also is so much deep-rooted within one's personality. So this is also another way that, another, if I can put it, dangerous attitude if a leader operates with this kind of thinking. So we are saying the power of attitude in leadership. People may hear your words, but the most importantly is that people are able to feel your attitude. And that's why we said at the end of it all, it's the attitude that defines our personality. Miles Monroe said, true leadership is an attitude that naturally inspires and motivates others. And it comes from an internalized discovery about yourselves. So attitude reflects leadership. And it's like we are saying, as we look at leadership, in most cases, we'll conclude the quality of a leader by their attitude. So this is important, and I think we can appreciate why we are saying it is 80% among those other qualities that we have defined there. So leadership is practiced not so much in words as in attitude and in action. So very important, probably to focus a little bit more on this area so that we are able to balance. So attitude defines our personality, and we are saying generally a leader's attitude will either be inspiring or depressing, and people in general prefer to stick around leaders with positive vibration, who motivate them in life and who instill a sense of hope. Bad or good attitude has the power to influence people's thoughts and behavior. So this is the leadership balance in conclusion. So we are saying that look at the 20% skills, knowledge, and attitude, and balance with the 80% personal essence, mindset, attitude, values, and habits. That is according to the iceberg. And then on the other side, we are talking about prioritization. So look at the 20% of your most impactful areas or strength and put more weight on that, which will be able to give you 80% of the output or the influence or inspiration. So successful leaders, they embrace positive mental attitude, which is the catalyst for our aptitude. And the aptitude here, we're talking about the skills, the knowledge, and the experience. So mentality and behavior aspects, they significantly influence the application of knowledge, skills, and also how we are able to work through our experiences in life. So in summary, we just want to relook at our leadership balance, relook at probably how we plan our personal growth, and to see, are we taking care of the lion's share, which is very important in terms of impacting on the other hard skills that we possess as leaders. And as we walk through the entire journey in this program, that is where the attention will be. The attention will be more on the 80% and less on the 20%. So this is our leadership challenge. This is our leadership challenge. As a leader, identify and prioritize your 20% strength. 20% strength. What are my strengths? And in the next lesson, we'll get more details on this, that those strengths are able to lead to your 80% effort, impact, influence, or inspiration. So focus on developing your area of strength with highest level of impact and satisfaction. So this is our leadership challenge. I will post that so that we can be able to look at it. I want to post here. For a few minutes. Joyce, I can see your hand is raised.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Joyce.
I just wanted to ask a question so that I can see whether I'm following. Okay, for the first one, when you're talking about the iceberg theory, and you talk of 20% and 80, as in the bottom part of the iceberg, which is bigger, did you mean that to be the soft skills, then the smaller percentage which is on top, which that is question one. Then in question two, with the 80-20 rule, I just wanted to ask if you can give a practical example so that I see whether I've understood, because I was looking at it, maybe if I could give an example, you tell me whether I got it right or not. Say, if we are to use our Reverend Beth to be an example, say, or any other leader, and we say maybe her 20% she feels is her strongest attitude is maybe encouraging people, would that qualify to be her strength being the ability to motivate people to keep on going even despite of the many challenges they're facing in their day-to-day work? Would that qualify to be now the 20%?
Yeah,
attitude and ability. Is that the 20%?
Yeah, thank you.
So I need you to clarify so that I see Baba understood.
Okay. So thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. For the first part, the iceberg, you are right. The 20% is the hard skills and 80% is the soft skills. Okay. So is that okay, Joyce?
For the hard and soft skill, yeah. Now the Pareto.
For the hard and soft skills. Okay, for the Pareto, we said we look at what gives us the most impact. And the example you've given about Reverend Beth is true. So what gives her the most impact? What are those particular skills? The 20% that if she focuses on them, then she'll be able to have, or she can spend less effort on them, but have most impact at the end of the day. And that's why I said this rule applies in so many dimensions. So we can look at it from so many angles. But we choose now to probably look at it from a particular context. And our context, we are saying we isolate those areas that we feel will have the most impact. That if I put, because one way of looking at it, you look at it from in terms of the input output. So if I look at it from the input output, I will consider the inputs, or in the other word for inputs, we can say the efforts. The efforts can be 20%, but it gives me 80% output. That means I'm operating in my area of strength. If I'm able to use less input and be able to tap or get more output in the area that I am able to flow through smoothly. Actually, we normally say in your area of strength, you are already strong in a way, so you just need to enhance it a little bit. So that is one way of looking at it. And the other way we can look at it, we look at the influence, so we connect this to the iceberg. That if we are to grow as a leader, then we need to look at the 80% in terms of the skills, the knowledge, and this I'm looking at it from the author, Carl Van. So I look at 80% of the most important skills, or the skills that have the most impact. And again, I look at the 20% of the skills that are important, but in terms of prioritization, or in terms of the bigger portion, they contribute 20%. So I'm able to look at this and be able to prioritize them based on the percentages. So your example is still true, that what are my strengths? So I look at my strength, then I'm able to focus more weight on that. Why? Because at the end of the day, they'll give me the most impact. So again, there is also another perspective of this role, where you focus maybe on the 20% of the people that have the most impact in the organization. Okay, so Joyce, how is that?
Very clear, thank you.
Okay, so there are so many applications of this, and maybe if you can, if all of us can just take some time just to look at it more, I think we'll be able to help us be able to get a deeper understanding. Good. So I want us to have 10 minutes break, but this time the breaks will be in small groups. So we'll get into small groups just to be able to digest what we have shared today, as well as also look at the book review. What came out clearly in our book review? You can highlight just 3 areas or 3 points that you feel came out very strong in the book review, so that when we get back into the session, each group can present just 3 things that came out very strong in the book review. And if you can also probably just digest about what we have shared today, that will also be very important. So we just randomly put you into 3 groups. Let me see, we are how many? We are okay. We are about, let's say, 10. So we can have 3 groups. We'll have 3 groups, and then after discussing, we'll come back and share our experience. Is that okay? Is that okay, Joyce?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. So I'll give you 10 minutes. When you get into the groups, because time is limited, so anybody can take the initiative to lead the groups into the discussion of the book review. How was the book review? What came out very clear from the book review? I know there is so much that we read, but you can highlight just 1 or 2. And then as a group, just pick 3 issues that you can discuss, as well as just a recap on what we have done today. So I'll make them random, create 3 groups. So just allow me to create them. Then I'll give you some minutes. Let's see. So the first group, or room 1, will have Eunice, Leah, I think Leah, Peter, and Ruth. The second group will have Mercy, Esther, and Sarah. And then the third group will have Evelyn, Joyce, and Monica. And the time will give you 10 minutes. We'll give you 10 minutes. So please just join the group. Once I've opened them, you can just click join, and then let's discuss and come back and share our experience. Okay, all the best. Please join your group, and then let's discuss for 10 minutes and then come back. So you can join your group. Eunice and Ruth, you can join your group 1. Hi, Ruth. Whoever is representing room 1, please take it up.
Yes, and my name is Ruth.
Yes, Ruth, please continue.
So the first one that we discussed was what we learned about leadership is not that leadership is not measured by where and how you start, but how you finish. And our example is Jesus Christ when he said that it is finished. Then we have another one, which is positive leadership can influence much. They discern, a leader can discern and distinguish seasons and respond accordingly. And the last one is the world today is in need of leaders who are driven by a cause for living, reason for sacrifice and passion for change and people empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Did you have any challenges today from the breakout session? Ruth? Ruth, did you have any challenges? Okay, so let me move on to.
We didn't have any challenge.
Okay, thank you.
I am saying we did not have any challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa. Thank you so much, room 1. We appreciate the comments. Room 2, Mercy, Esther, and Sarah. Please take it up, room 2.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In our book review, we talked about the leadership, and the quality leadership is not measured by how one starts, but it's all about how they finish. And leadership is self-driven, and leaders, or purpose-driven leaders, they discern times and seasons, and so they know when it is time to pass on the baton to their successors. And also selfless. And today's lesson, we didn't finish. We saw 2 seconds and it was over. So we didn't review our today. The iceberg and the 80-20. I think next time we need 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So that can be part of the challenge on time.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think you have done well, being the first breakout session. From the experience, I think you've done quite well. So I'm sure by next class will be much, much better. So thank you so much, Sarah and the team. Let's move on to room 3, Evelyn, Joyce, and Monica.
Good evening again.
Yeah, good evening.
This is Joyce from room 3.
Yes.
It was time because we didn't manage to finish, but this is what we picked out from the summary of chapter 1 and from chapter 1. We say that leadership is usually a relay, and you as a leader, you must be able to pass on the baton smoothly to your successors. And leaders live on precise mission, motivated by purpose. Leaders stand out even during calamities and difficult times. And leaders realize their true identity, which comes from within. Then from chapter 3, we said leaders can influence either positively or negatively. So a good leader that is positively by feeding himself or herself with positive beliefs. Inspiration. Then from today's class, we just touched a little bit on attitude, where we said from the Iceberg's theory, the hard skills are usually just the little that we see from the outside, but what is inside, what the leader possesses, the soft skills are usually what is normally the 80%, the core of the person, and that's what makes someone a good leader or a bad leader. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, room 3, Joyce and the team. That's good. We appreciate that. And I think this is a very good start. We'll continue having this in every class. So maybe as you undertake the book review, you can highlight 1 or 2 things that you can share with the team just to make the discussion much smoother and faster. But otherwise, I think this is a good beginning. And I'm seeing our time is spent. We really wanted to cover 2 lessons today just to make sure we are on track. So I might seek your indulgence. If we can get 20 minutes, we can complete the second session, but maybe some of you might have some commitments you might want to move. So please just indicate if we can spend about 20 minutes to finish, you can just indicate thumbs up. I know how many. 20 minutes. If it's okay with you, you can just put a thumbs up. I know how many. If we are in agreement, most of us, we can proceed. Otherwise, we can reschedule. So I can see Sarah, you're saying okay. Mercy, you're saying okay. Evelyn, you're saying okay. Joyce, you're saying okay. Eunice, you're saying okay. I think I can just move on. And since the recording is there, so in case there's someone who you really have to move, then we can allow you, and I'll share the recording immediately. But let's move on. This is a very, very important session, very critical, very important. So you can see my screen, Esther? Or anybody who can see my screen, please just confirm. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, asante sana. So we are talking about the core 4 leadership skills. The core 4 leadership skills are very, very important. This is on the skills part of the iceberg. So as I mentioned, we'll be addressing the 2 parts, but now we'll look at what are the core 4 skills that are very important for a leader. The running quote for this part, treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you will help them to become what they are capable of being. They are not really as what they are at that particular time, but as what they ought to be. So as a leader, we see more than probably other people see, and we see far than other people see, sometimes even beyond what a person, him or herself, can be able to see. So according to the Center for Creative Leadership, there are 4 main leadership skills or core leadership skills. One of them is self-awareness, understand your behavior impact at personal level or at the organizational level. The second core leadership skill is communication, effectively communicate, be a communicator. And why communication is important, because leaders, sometimes we are championing a big vision that requires people. So we need to be able to have the ability to sell it out. And then influence, sometimes be comfortable persuading, also delegating or negotiating, so that you can be able to sell out again that vision. The last skill is learning agility, know when to change course or just be in a learning mode. So I'll highlight each of these briefly. Self-awareness. The key here is to be able to understand your strengths and weaknesses and enhance your self-knowledge. One of the tools that is important in this particular area is a personal SWOT analysis that guides in terms of how to identify my own strength, my own weaknesses, and also the threats around me and the opportunities. So this is a personal SWOT analysis, because SWOT analysis can apply to different spaces, either at an organization level, maybe in a particular field, but here we are looking at a personal level. So the SWOT will aid you as a leader to better understand how to play your strength, or how to maximize, optimize your strength, and also how do you manage your weaknesses, or maybe convert some of those that are convertible into strength, as well as to uncover the opportunities for growth and eliminate threats that could keep you from moving forward. So this will be the exercise and the challenge for this session. For the strength, probably we can look at, and this is mostly on the, maybe the tip, the upper part of the iceberg. Maybe the skills, the talents can be the bottom part. So the giftings, the abilities, and also the networks. These are part of the strength. Network is also part of the strength. And as I said, when you're operating in your area of strength, then 20% input will give you 80% output. And that's why it's very important that we're able to flow in our area of passion. Our area of passion, our area of interest, our area of strength in general, because in that area, then we'll be able to have more output. Okay, so then opportunities, you look at probably the bigger industry, the space out there, the environment. What are the opportunities for you to be able to grow based on the strength that you possess, network and collaboration among others. So then the weakness, maybe there are some habits, there are some attitude, there are some skills that you feel you are low in those skills. It might be maybe communication, negotiation, marketing, or whatever skill that you feel it needs attention. It needs attention, and also the attitude and the habits, which are also very intrinsic. So it covers all that. And when you're operating in your area of weakness, then you require 80% effort to be able to get 20% output. And that is when life becomes a big struggle, because there is a mismatch. Okay, so SWOT analysis will help us to be able to bring out these issues. Threats, maybe the obstacles, maybe the competition out there, maybe some of the challenges that we feel can hinder our level of optimizing the strength. So in a bigger, in a brief, this is what we focus on self-awareness. There are other tools, I'll just share two. But for the strength, you build or enhance. For the weakness, you can either resolve, reduce, or convert. For the opportunities, you exploit, you expand. And for the threats, you either avoid, you thwart, or you minimize the impact. The other tool that is important for self-awareness, and after this, I'll be sharing a link where you'll be able to undertake your own self-awareness online. So there's this tool on personality type based on personality colors, which can also help us to develop an in-depth understanding of our own awareness. And maybe, I don't know who knows your personality color, like you are able to know, are you a green, are you a yellow, are you a red? Anybody who understands him or herself based on personality colors, it may not be, it sometimes is a mix, but there is always a dominant color. So Eunice, have you ever looked at personality color and where you fit? Eunice, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
At this point, I can only look at the color I like.
Yeah, but not in terms of personality. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mercy, have you had a chance to look at personality colors and where you fall?
Just like Eunice, I think the color I like.
Okay.
That
So
dominates.
we are in the right
I
company. Yeah. Thank you, Mercy. So we are in the right company, all of us. So we can look at our personality based on personality colors, because each color represents some attributes. For example, just from the bigger picture here, if you are a blue, this is the language of a blue. We always talk about let's do it right. So a blue will always insist of doing things right. A person of a red personality will always insist of let's do it now. A green will say let's do it in a caring way. A yellow will say let's do it together. So that's the bigger picture of these personalities. But let's move deeper. So a yellow is more of a caregiver. Blue is more adventurous. Red is more passive and aggressive. Green is analytical. So let's take it a little bit deeper and look at now more attribute for each. If we look at a blue, they're very cautious, precise, deliberate, questioning, and also formal. For green, very caring, encouraging, sharing, patient, and also relaxed. A red is competitive, demanding in a way, determined, strong-willed, and purposeful. A yellow is sunshine. They're very social, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic, and persuasive. So this is just a highlight of these colors. And as I said, you might be a mix, but you will always realize there's something that, there's one color that always stands above all the other colors. So if I get back to you, Eunice, where do you feel like probably you are more inclined to, from that brief description?
Color green.
Color green, okay. So we are saying Eunice is caring, encouraging, sharing, patient, relaxed. And if we look back here, we can say Eunice insists on doing things in a caring way, and also Eunice is analytical. So in a way, that is a description of Eunice. Okay, let's look at Mercy. Mercy, where do you feel which is more of your dominant color? Mercy?
Color red.
Color red. Okay, so let me start from here. So for Mercy, it's about let's do it now. Mercy can be aggressive. We are saying Mercy is can be competitive, can be demanding, determined, strong-willed, and purposeful. So let me say this, all these colors are important when we'll be looking at situational leadership. There are particular situations you require a particular kind of a person to be in charge. There are times where we are saying things must be done and must be done now. Like in the season of COVID, we didn't have a lot of time to think. So you needed people who really will have to rise to the occasion and be able to move things forward. And maybe a red would take the day. but also we were also looking at our medics as they take into the precaution, as they take into more analytical aspects. But all of these colors are very important at particular area or particular field. So we'll appreciate this, I think, as we'll be looking at situational leadership. But for now, I just wanted to give you a snap view, just to be able to appreciate the personality in terms of personality colors, and also appreciate the self-awareness in terms of SWOT analysis. This is for you as a leader, and also to be able to understand the people you are leading more better. So you'll be able to look at a person and will feel this is more of a red, and this is how you handle a red, and this is where a red is more important. So you can position people more appropriately. For the communication, which is also another core skill, there's a survey that was conducted, and I think I indicated this, leadership, one of the key skills that leaders identified a gap is on the area of communication. So this is important, and I will just highlight this, but we'll be getting back to it later. So we are saying in terms of communication, we are saying communicating information and ideas effectively is consistently rated among the most important skills for leaders, and that's why we are covering it here, because especially in participative leadership, collaborative leadership, and relational leadership, then communication is the backbone of these methods of leadership, and basically all other forms of leadership. And when we are focusing on leadership, some of the other skills that we need to impress is the issue of emotional and social intelligence, which plays a big role in terms of communication. So John Maxwell says, everyone communicates, but few connects. So the idea here, as I'm communicating as a leader, I think I'll be trying to gauge, am I really connecting with the people that I'm interacting with? Is my conversation yielding the fruits that is supposed to yield? And he continues to say that people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. But the most important of the comments that I want to mention here is also by Stephen Covey. And according to him, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I think this is the thinking of a leader, especially when it comes to communication. Many times I've been in forums where you find someone is asking a question and the other person has started to respond, and then someone says, you didn't really get the whole story clear, meaning that my perspective was different from what you have addressed. So, and this is important. This quote by Stephen Covey is very critical on issues of communication, where we should seek first to understand, then to be understood. So seek the real understanding, affirm the other person, and then engage with the person after understanding. The other skill, the third skill, is influence. And we are saying the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. So you might have the authority, you might have the title, you might have the position, but you realize you are not the one carrying the day in terms of the influence. So the idea here is to look at how do I influence, so that even beside having the authority, then I can be able to maximize the key of influence. So influence, we're saying, is working effectively with people and requires ability to present logical and compelling argument and engaging in give and take. Developing your influence skills will help you as a leader to communicate the vision, also align the efforts of other people, and build commitment at all levels. So influence is very key and will allow you as a leader to be able to achieve results and also achieve the buy-in, because it's one thing to capture vision, it's the other thing to be able to be in a position to sell that vision that others are able to really feel they have a place and they're able to join in and work together with you. So influence is focused more on steering long-range vision and goals through inspiration and motivation. How do I inspire the people to work with me? How do I motivate them to be able to work with me? Look at even what we are doing, Global Leadership Network. As much as we might have good product, at the end of it all is how do we communicate this? How do we pass this? How do we bring others on board to be able to work with us in this journey? And it has been more of a network. We train one cohort and the cohort is able to pass on to the other. Why? Because probably we were able to pass that message clearly and they understood the vision and also the content of what we presented. You can influence through logical appeals, through emotional appeals, that is connecting with the people, cooperative appeals, that is collaboration, making people feel that they are included, they are part and parcel of what you are doing, they are part and parcel of the vision, and also probably delegation and also issues of involvement. So these are three ways to influence. Logical appeal, this is where you're able to be more intelligent in your presentation. And then emotional, you're able to connect the message and communicate clearly. So lastly is learning agility, the fourth quality, a very, very important quality. And that's why we are here today as leaders. So learning agility is the ability to be constantly in a learning mode. A leader should be constantly in a learning mode. So we are looking for opportunity to learn. Either we are engaging, at every engagement, it's an opportunity. That makes, it helps us to be very open-minded and also to be able to see more than others are seeing, to listen to more than other people are hearing, so that we can be able to tap into the lessons and probably be able to come up with a better solution. So active learning is necessary for each and every leader. And we are saying, recognize probably when new behaviors, skills, or attitude are needed and accepting responsibility for developing them. So learn from mistake, asking great question, being open to feedback, learning a new skill as quickly as possible, taking advantage of opportunities to learn, and also learning well to or responding well to new situations. So learning agility involves creating a culture of learning and inspiring learning in the people that we are leading. So basically, those are the 4 skills which are very important to us as leaders. So maybe just think about them in terms of learning agility. Am I in a learning mode? In terms of communication, do I connect with the people? Do I seek to understand before I speak? In terms of issues of influence, how is my influence? Do I influence logically? Do I influence through emotional appeal? Do I influence through all those other aspects that I've mentioned? In terms of self-awareness, do I really understand myself in terms of my personal strength? And have I undertaken an analysis just to give me a picture of where my strengths are so that I can be able to maximize on them? You remember the examples we started by looking, the pictures there. I said that most of the leaders are not really remembered by so many things they did, but the few things that they did well. And that comes from the issue of self-awareness. So this is the leadership challenge. Undertake a personal leadership SWOT analysis and note areas for improvement. You can go ahead and look at also the personality colors and be able to see where you fit and how do you enhance your personality better, and how do you maximize the qualities that you possess as a leader. Finally, there is an online personality test. So I'll post this link on WhatsApp. Follow the link. It will guide you through maybe a 10 minutes personality test, and then it will give you an analysis of your qualities. And it's a very detailed analysis, which will be able to point quite a lot that you can learn about yourself. Good. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. I know it has been, I think, a little bit of a marathon, but I'm sure you've been able to pick a few take homes, and we are better than we came in. So as we close, maybe your one word, just one word as we conclude, and maybe Esther. I don't know if Esther, you've been able to follow through. Esther, I can skip Esther. I go to Sarah. Sarah, you are one word in terms of your take home.
Swot.
Yes, Sarah.
SWOT. I have to
SWOT.
look at my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah, SWOT analysis. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Joyce, your takeaway or your take home. And Joyce, sorry, I missed your message. You had indicated you could not hear clearly. I hope now you are able to clearly hear me.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you clearly, and I could hear you clearly. It was just a small first few seconds. My take home today, I don't know, first to say thank you for the class. Thank you for the many things you're teaching us. What I've learned today is that's Iceberg. My take home is the Iceberg model.
Yeah, model.
Of leadership, about the hard skills and the soft skills. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joyce. Esther, you're saying communication is backbone of any leadership. Communication is backbone of any leadership, lowest to the highest level. Thank you, Esther, for your take home. So if you can send on the chat is also okay. I see also, Eunice, you have indicated attitude is key. So thank you, Eunice. Ruth, will you want to share on the, you can unmute and just share your take home, Ruth.
Yes, maybe what I can share is the four core leadership skills: the self-awareness, communication. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruth. So I think we appreciate, we can pause there for this week. So that we share the rest as we continue. Otherwise, I hope unless there is any concern, any comment, we can be able to pause there for today. Good. So thank you so much. Thank you even for the additional time. We appreciate for that. We are warming up, and I'm sure next time we'll be able to also, we also want to create time for interaction. So that's why we expanded a little bit, but we thank God for everything. We can unmute and share the words of grace together. Okay, and may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, fellowship of the Holy Spirit, be with us now. Amen. Amen. God bless you and have a blessed evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.